Welcome back to the weekly recap. I'm Matt Wacker. Tuesday marked the 17th anniversary of terrorist attacks on the U.S. In memory of that day, Missouri S&T's ROTC groups held a ceremony on campus.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the 442nd Air Force ROTC Cadet Wing and Army ROTC Stonehenge Battalion, I'd like to welcome you to today's ceremony in memory of the events of a fateful Tuesday morning 17 years ago. Thank you for joining us to help commemorate those lives affected by the attacks on September 11th, 2001. At 8:47 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 carrying 81 passengers and 11 crew members crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. At 9:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175, carrying 56 passengers and 9 crew members, struck the South Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. At 9:38 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77, carrying 57 passengers, 4 flight attendants, and 2 pilots, skimmed low over the ground and flew directly into the side of the Pentagon. At 10:03 a.m., United Airlines Flight 93, carrying 38 passengers, 5 flight attendants, and 2 pilots, buried itself into the ground 60 miles southeast of Pittsburgh after the hijackers were overtaken. In total, 3,394 people died that day. In the midst of the rubble, a flag went up. Tattered and torn, it flew. A symbol of the American people and our nation came together. It is because of that spirit that we can stand here now, steadfast to this day. When all the chaos had ended, pictures, wreaths, and other mementos were placed along the streets in New York, close to the 2 towers, to commemorate lost ones and those who died trying to save them. Today, the Air Force ROTC Blue Sabres placed a wreath in honor of those who lost their lives 17 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our ceremony. Thank you for joining us today, and God bless America.
Many people had to work together as a team in order for this to happen. That's a quote from Rolla Mayor Lou Magnitz in reference to the completed Highway 72 extension. The mayor, as well as several other members of the community, were on site last weekend for a ribbon cutting. This project has been some 25 years in the making, deterred primarily by lack of financing, but the project was finished nearly $2 million under budget. Today, September 14th, is the day the piece of highway opens to traffic. Earlier this year, we showed you the restoration progress on the Rolla mural. Earlier this week, Missouri S&T announced that it will officially dedicate the artwork during a public ceremony next month. The Rolla mural is a 22-foot by 5-foot painting by Missouri artist Sidney Larson, depicting more than a century of local history. Unveiled in 1953, it was donated to Missouri S&T in 2016 and now hangs in the second floor of the Curtis Laws Wilson Library. Some 475,000 Americans die each year of cardiac arrest. However, if CPR is administered immediately, a person's chance of survival can double or even triple. One Cuba area business owner recently saved a life using her CPR training. Leanne spoke with Renee Boss about her experience.
I had to go out onto the golf course to get something that was left over after the tournament. And I came back in, and my husband said, I think someone is having a medical issue over there. As I rounded the corner, I immediately could tell by the look on his face it was a very serious medical emergency. And I got him to wake up a couple times. After that, he would no longer wake up. Gave him just a minute. He was not breathing. So we put him on the floor and initiated CPR. Called the ambulance. Yes. They were calling in the background that I wasn't even aware the phone call was being made because I was focused on him and what he needed from me. The ambulance was here probably within a matter of 5 minutes or so. We loaded him up, got him in the back of the ambulance, did things that needed to be done to get him stable so that we could transport him and actually fly him. He flew into St. Louis. Later that night, I had messaged one of his friends that were here with him, and I said, how's he doing? Is he awake? How he was awake. He was feeling good, very tired. It had been quite a day. So it wasn't the first time that I've had to do CPR. It wasn't the first time that I've had to step in on an incident like that. I actually worked on the ambulance for 18 years. So I just feel really blessed to have that knowledge and be able to help when it's needed. Daily life, you can plan a trip or a vacation or plan your day at work, and emergencies are not plannable. We don't get up that day and expect to come upon a car wreck or have to do CPR or help somebody who's choking, or you just can't plan those things. So it's so important to have that training because seconds do count. So even if I weren't a business owner, I just strongly urge people to have that training and that knowledge so that you can step in, because even 2 minutes sometimes can make the difference between life or death. It's just very important.
The West Plains Daily Quill is watching a developing story that involves the owner of a local restaurant. Tony Beeler, the owner of Saber Grill and Bar on Preacher Row Boulevard, was injured at an apartment complex in an apparent stabbing incident. Howell County Sheriff Mike Shannon said no arrests have been made nor charges filed. Oak Point Assisted Living and Memory Care held an open house at their brand new facility on September 12th. The 38,000 square foot structure accommodates 58 residents in private rentals and includes activity areas, a chapel, movie theater, dining room, beauty salon, and landscaped outdoor area. The Rolla facility is one of 6 locations in Missouri and sits in a single-family residential neighborhood. Oak Point specializes in memory care for senior adults. The Waynesville Daily Guide has published its final newspaper. After 50 years of serving Pulaski County, the final issue arrived on doorsteps September 7th. Its sister publication, the Rolla Daily News, will cover important headlines from the Waynesville area. Annual subscribers will receive refunds within the next few weeks. We leave you today with a personal September 11th tribute caught on camera at Veterans Memorial Park in Rolla. The weekly recap is brought to you by Rice Chopper, Cooking from Scratch, the UPS store of Rolla, Bayard Dodge in West Plains, and the Ozarks Medical Center.
Whether you live in Lebanon, Thayer, Rolla, or West Plains, we all can get calls where someone calls and asks for money. You may be skeptical, but what if the person sends you a check in advance, you cash the check, and then your bank tells you that the money is in your account? That sounds like a safe deal, especially if it's a cashier's check to many people, which is as good as gold, right? Well, that's actually wrong. Here's what crooks know, but you may not. Even when a check is credited into your account, it does not mean that check is good. A week or so later, if the check bounces, the bank or credit union will want the money back. And you, not the fraudsters, will be on the hook for the funds, and you may even have some additional fees from the bank or credit union if that is a faulty check. It happens to tens of thousands of people every year. Buyers send the check for more than the full price to the sellers of cars or other items on Craigslist and other online classified sites. These employers send a check to new hires to buy supplies needed to do the job from home. Sweepstakes or lottery winners are given a check to pay taxes so the award can be delivered. All of those are scams involving counterfeit checks, which are often altered versions of the business checks from real companies. Fake check fraud is a huge problem, which complaints are going to the government agencies, consumer advocacy groups. They are doubling over the last 3 years. Millions of fake checks worth billions of dollars are circulating every year. Fake check fraud is an exploding epidemic, and we need for you to be incredibly careful. In order for you to know what to do, we want for you to pay close attention to any check you're receiving. If it's from somebody that you don't know, do not cash it. Go to your bank or credit union first and show them any check to make sure that they can run it through and make sure that it is legitimate before you go ahead and you deposit it. If you're seeing the funds that are credited to a bank account, it doesn't mean that your cash check is valid, so be incredibly cautious. And if you've been the victim of a scam, go to bbb.org/scam tracker and let us know.